The 8th of April is a crazy, powerful, important day. It's the eclipse, but it's so important, and there's so much at stake on our timeline right now that CERN is getting in on the action, launching the Hadron Collider on that day. NASA is getting in on the action, launching spacecraft right into the eclipse on that day. Let's talk about what's going on. The 8th of April is looking like a crazy time, and if ever there was a time to stay awake, to stay conscious, it's going to be those 4 minutes of the solar eclipse that happen on the 8th of April. And I'm going to talk to you about what's going on. Now, a lot of people are going to dismiss it and they're going to go, bah, it's just an eclipse. It's no big deal. The truth is, it is actually a big deal. And I'm going to explain to you why. What it's really about. What is an eclipse really? We have come to learn through institutions, not necessarily that this is the actual truth, but what we learn, what's commonly accepted for a solar eclipse is that the moon is passing in front of the sun, and the moon just happens to be exactly the right size to block out the sun and just leave that little ring around the sun. There's a very important symbolic reference to this. When we go through ascension, we have something called the black sun. And what that is when we go through ascension, the sun, I've called it the in-breath, kind of like imagine a big inhale. The sun is inhaling, so to speak, metaphorically, and drawing in all of its energy before it sends out the solar flash, also known as a micronova, also known as the greatest CME to ever hit not just our planet, because this is way bigger than the planet. This is so big, it's the entirety of our entire solar system that gets engulfed in this big flash of light. When that happens, the sun kind of empties itself out. After the big inhale is the big exhale. And at that point, you will look up at the sky and you will see something called a black sun. And it is in that time that your inner sun comes online, meaning your inner light comes online. The sun is a portal. The sun is not what we've been taught, oh, it's a flaming ball of gas in the sky that just happens to be positioned exactly where we need it. The sun is so much more. It is a portal. And any stargate, yes, it allows interdimensional travel. But more importantly, it allows for node point communication. This essentially means that it's kind of like a meridian point in the cosmic landscape through which God's light, the universe's light, is focused. The sun has another greater node point, which we call the galactic sun, and that has another greater node point called the universal sun. And in a stair-step process, these portals, or stargates is a better word, they relay God's light. The ancients knew exactly what the sun was. They knew that there was this moment in time at a solar eclipse where that stargate is closed. Now imagine, this is just maybe a little symbolic reference I want to give you. Let's compare it to a tap. Yeah, tap, faucet, right? So imagine that there is water gushing out of a tap, which is exactly like the sun's light streaming out of the sun. And imagine that you block the flow of that water, even if just for a couple minutes. Okay? This, as far as I know, and you can correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below, but as far as I know, this solar eclipse is supposedly about 4 minutes. Now, the whole eclipse itself, this can take a couple of hours. Normally, it's around about 2 hours, thereabouts, where we see this gradual taking over of the moon's shadow over the sun's surface. That whole time is significant. The exact few moments where the moon covers the sun, that's the critical point. So imagine, right? Imagine for this time, it's the equivalent of all of this light streaming out of the sun, which is so much more than what we think sunlight to be. This is photonic light. This is information. Light is information. This is God's word, God's energy streaming onto the planet. Now, please bear this in mind. We haven't had access. This light that comes through the sun, these light codes that come through the sun, this God's breath that comes through the sun. We have only just regained access to this light. We've been quarantined in a false matrix. The false matrix is beginning to erode, and there are controllers of the false matrix that really, really desperately want control back. There's so much going on the 8th of April. It's insanity. Before I talk about that, let's finish the analogy with the tap, right? There's your hand. It's blocking the water just for a couple moments. And then you move your hand away again. And what's going to happen? There's going to be a burst of light. So that's what should happen. That's what should happen at a solar eclipse. It should be much like that tap that you've just blocked for a couple of minutes. There should be a big surge of light. But the darkness knows that, and what they're trying to do is they're trying to redirect that light. So imagine the train coming to the train station. Here's another little picture. I love giving you little pictures in your mind because that's how my mind works. I love to visualize things to understand them. Imagine that the train is coming into the train station, and there is that switch that allows the train to go onto this rail or onto that rail, right? It deviates the train. What is the name of that? Tell me in the comments. I can't think of it. It's some simple name. But anyway, you know what I'm talking about? That switch that allows the train to move onto one track or another. What the darkness is trying to do, what they've always tried to do at previous solar eclipses, is to use that to insert themselves into the flow of consciousness that's coming into the planet. But there's something much bigger even than that. On the 8th of April, I got to tell you, the 7th of April, there's a course that I'm running called Forever Starts Now, and I didn't even know that that was happening a day before this eclipse. Now that I know about the eclipse, and wow, I have seen stuff about this eclipse that blew my mind. I have seen stuff I'm still busy trying to process, but I'll share it with you. I'll let you know all about it as we go through this video. The point is, I didn't know why the 7th of April, and it didn't, to be honest, doesn't suit me. It's not the best date for me. I would really way rather have this been like the middle of May, the 15th of May. That would have been a date that suits me. Nope. Non-negotiable. It had to be just before the 8th of April. And I thought, well, okay, can't we just push it out by another week? Nope. It has to be just before the 8th of April. And I've learned over the years to really trust that guidance. I still, even when I learned, oh, okay, it's eclipse on the 8th, still didn't know how big a deal it is to step into your light, at least during those moments of the 8th of April. So what about setting an alarm on your phone? And I don't want you to be alarmed. In other words, I don't want you to be in fear. I want you to be really powerful about this. I'm going to say some things to you in the upcoming discourse in this video, and some people could misinterpret, and some people could go, this is scary. I don't want you to be scared. I want you to get really powerful, because you are the remedy. You are the counterbalance. You are being called. This is your purpose. This is why you're awake right now. It's why you're watching this video right now. So, the eclipse is going to happen, but what we have is darkness trying to intervene. But they're really trying hard. They're trying so hard that they're trying on the 8th of April, of all days, to bring CERN online again, where they're running a massive so-called experiment with the Hadron Collider. Again, this time it's going to be one of their biggest. It's going to be on the day of the eclipse. And what they're doing is they're searching for this elusive God particle, or at least this is what they're saying, that they are trying to get two atoms to collide and see what happens. I'll tell you what they're trying to do, because I sat with this morning. I sat in the God mind, because that's the place that I go to when I want to see what's going on with something. I sit in that totality and I sit in that wholeness, and it's a really important place for me to go to. This is what I learned when I had multiple near-death experiences as a child. I learned to go there, to plug right in to that place that we all go to after we've escaped the false matrix. I sat in that for quite some time, just looking from a very neutral perspective, looking at this thing that we are calling CERN. And I saw the plan of darkness. You know this, right? That at the entrance of CERN, there is a statue of the god/goddess Shiva. And Shiva is the god/goddess of destruction. And there's a reason why. Because what they're trying to do is exactly the same thing that they're trying to do with the solar eclipse, where they're trying to redirect darkness on the planet. Because remember, darkness doesn't have much of a stronghold on the planet anymore. In individuals, yes, darkness is still very strongly grounded into certain individuals, but many, many people across the planet are holding so much light. The bandwidth of light is much bigger than the bandwidth of darkness, which is really something that peters out very quickly. So what I'm saying to you is there can be hordes of darkness on the planet and really just a few beings of true light upon the planet. So I'd be very interested to see how many people get to watch this video, because what I'm calling on you to do is just to stand in your light. Nothing crazy. I don't want any mass meditation. I don't want anything hoo-ha-ish. I don't want big lights in the sky. Just be powerful during the eclipse window. That includes now, like the build up to the eclipse window, and then the eclipse window, and then it's still, please know this, it still carries on till at least the 22nd of April. This is very important because that's the date that CERN's experiment is said to end by, and that happens also to be a holy day in the Jewish calendar. They're very specific. There are beings upon this planet who are trying to usher in the end time prophecies. So what you're seeing, where you see a lot of these prophecies coming true, there's a lot of beings trying to instill their narrative rather than to allow things to unfold organically. Let me go off on a tangent for a second. You know, when I do tangents, there's always information that comes through that's really powerful, and this tangent is just coming up. So I'm going to come back to the 8th of April, but let's just follow this tangent for a moment. The tangent I want to tell you about is this. When you become enlightened, or when you are conscious, when you are higher dimensional, it's very difficult to predict your future then. Because if you were very conscious and I said to you, oh, look, tomorrow XYZ is going to happen in your world, you would look at that if you were really powerfully conscious and you would go, no, it's not. No, thanks, Kerry, but I choose otherwise. Thanks for showing me what could have happened, but I choose otherwise. See, the more conscious we get, the more anomalous we become, the less predictable we become. So all of these end time prophecies that we see, what they're about is a group of nefarious characters on the planet trying to instill end time upon the planet, trying to hold the narrative and let it unfold according to their narrative. Whereas what's been happening is quantum leaps upon the timeline, baby. We have been quantum jumping so dramatically that it looks very positive that the dark forces have lost control of the timeline completely. And they're seeing that, and they're rallying, and they're reeling, and they are calling on every possible resource that they've got. And the 8th of April is the day that they've chosen to open, what's the best way I can say this, to open the space-time continuum and to allow demons to come through. That's what it is. As I was sitting in the heart mind of God, looking at what's going on with CERN, what's the concern with CERN? Oh, I love dad jokes, you guys. I am very punny and I just can't help it. So the concern with CERN, Gary, is demons. The demonic dark forces upon this planet have felt extremely lonely because, look at my video called Galactic War. On that video, I explained to you how the broadcast signal of the false matrix was taken down. There's another video called The Collapse of the Astral and Underworld, where I described to you a little bit more about what's going on with demons and entities on the planet. There are so many displaced demons right now that are pretty much stuck on the earth. And what that means is They have to evolve now. And to a being of darkness, evolution equals death, because it is. It then has to stop being darkness, because then it gets amalgamated into light and it returns to the truth of who and what it is, which from the perspective of the demonic darkness, that's not a desirable thing, because that spells literally the end of the separation. So when they get trapped on Earth and Earth is on track for a mass ascension, they know they're going to get caught up in that ascension. They're going to land up evolving. They're going to land up shifting into light. You might want to play that back, what I've just said, for those of you who are afraid that you're not going to ascend. Listen again to what I've just explained to you. Everything on the planet gets catalyzed into light at the ascension point. There will be those at a soul level that are going to make choices and go, no, 5D is not quite what I'm ready for, not quite what I'm about yet. I want to do a bit of a 4D stint first. That's cool. That's an available choice. But the deconstruction of the false matrix is well underway, and the deconstruction of this level of 3D where we've held a lot of division and malevolent intervention and manipulation, it's that we're collapsing. So really, when I talk about ascension, what I'm talking about is an upward ripple for all consciousness. Those of darkness don't want that to happen. And they've lost the support from the outside because of all the galactic support. They've lost that stronghold that they had in the ethers. That's where they're really, really powerful. We are really powerful when we're on the ground, when we're anchored. Oh, this is why spiritual people have been told to go up, to get out of their body, to go up into meditative places where they get disembodied, because they're not powerful then. Because, of course, we know that the spiritual community has been so completely manipulated. So many false teachings exist there, but you need to know that you are the most powerful when you're on the ground, and the dark forces are the most powerful when they're up there in the ethers. Now, because of the support that we've had from the galactics, most of that has been cleared up. It is now impossible. Listen to that word. It's a big word. Impossible for demonic dark energy to get in. So that which is already on the planet stays on the planet, right? Because that's going to go through the ascension process. But the allies of darkness cannot get in now. Many of the allies of darkness are locked out of planet Earth. So what they're trying to do with CERN is create an opening to let them back in, to let the darkness back in, to let the demons back in, to let the stronghold of darkness, to basically give them open access back to planet Earth. But how about this? How about this for madness? On exactly the same day, can you see how hard darkness is working? They are making a plan A and a B, and here's their plan C. Plan C is NASA. NASA is launching not one, not two, but 3 rockets right into the eclipse for scientific research, of course, to study what's happening, of course, to do some kind of work or experimentation in the shadow of the moon. It just so happens, though, that apep is the name of this mission, or these rockets, I should say. Apep is the name of an Egyptian deity that was the opposition to truth. Look it up. Apep was an Egyptian deity that was the opposition to light and the opposition to truth, and administers of chaos, much like Shiva is exactly that, the destroyer, destruction and chaos. So NASA is running Apep on exactly the same day, the 8th of April. So covering their bases from all angles. And there are multiple events that are going to be taking place on the 8th of April. All of them are for one reason, and that is chaos. To bring people into a frenzied fear space. So what can you do? Oh, you have no idea how powerful you are and how you're being called and how significant your role is. Please be powerful on the 8th of April. But when I say the 8th of April, remember, start now and keep going as long after the 8th as you can. What I mean by be powerful is this. Let me demonstrate it for you, because you can join me. I'm going to invite you into an energetic space of light, of love. So many of us became so afraid of silence and stillness. Because we were scared the darkness was going to creep into the silent, still places. So we filled it up with noise. We played music, we watched movies. We stopped sitting in silence. We stopped having long silent baths or lying on our bed, falling asleep without a phone in our hands. We stopped doing the silence thing because we began to be very afraid of the darkness. And that happened round about the time that the false matrix was truly well and properly in the deconstruction phase. That was from around about 2012. And with each passing month of each passing year, that got stronger and stronger and stronger. The fear, that is, got stronger and stronger. But this is what I teach the Plasma Light Tribe, my online community. Come join them. Learn these skills. Master your energy. I teach them the following. Shine, baby, shine. All of our entity clearings, we do many of them. The entity clearings are based on the principle of you exude your light. You have to learn to take up space with your light. Instead of hiding away from the darkness, be the light. Fill the emptiness, the silent spaces with your presence and your fullness. So when I say to you, be in silence, be in love, I'm not even saying to you, call on silence, call on love from somewhere else. I'm saying be the love. Do you know why it's so easy? Because you are a direct descendant of God. So imagine a filament of light, a strand, a golden strand of light that connects you directly to God's source creator consciousness. This was not available to us. When you and I were born, this was not available to us. For the newbies coming in, like the newborn bubbas coming in right now, yeah, this is intact. They're cool. They won't need to learn what I'm teaching you now, which is to become aware of that filament of light that flows from the Supreme Creator directly into you, the creation. And you might say, because some people tell me this, they say, oh, but I'm an abomination because I've been genetically created. Yes, this is true. We here in the false matrix, we have had many, multiple genetic experiments that we are a product of. We are a hybridized species of multiple different galactic races. But we all have one origin. And the moment we remember that, we purify everything, including all of the gene pools that we're connected to. Holy heck, what a ripple you've got. The entire false matrix collapses when you know that, when you remember that, when you realize that, and that is who you are, and that is what you've come here to do. So when I say be powerful, all I'm asking you to do is be cognizant of the fact that there is an infinite stream of light that connects you to God's source, supreme creator consciousness, and it's active right now. In fact, it's never been more accessible and more available to you than right now. And for those moments of the eclipse, be the light. Can you feel how incredibly potent that is? If the entire world experiences this momentary blockout of that stargate that's communicating the light of God to the planet right now, if we have this momentary closure in an attempt to redirect the course of the timeline, and you be the light, and we have multiple people being the light. Moments back I said, imagine if the whole planet could do this. No, actually, just imagine if 100 people did this. 100. And then imagine if 1,000 people did this. And then imagine if 10,000 people did this. And let's just go wild and imagine if 100,000 people did this. And I'll tell you what, there are going to be people, this is the truth, there are going to be people on the 8th of April that do not know why, but they're just going to, oh, shine baby shine. They're just going to get this directive because our souls are communicating every single night. When you go to sleep, Your sleep state is nothing like it used to be. As light workers, which basically means the front runners of consciousness on the planet, we are coming into a collective pooled field of consciousness where we are sharing with each other ideas and support and frequency and light codes. And the directive has already been instilled in the lightworker populace that says, shine. Shine, shine, baby, shine, shine like you've never shone before. This is the time to be in your peace and in your presence. There are so many amazing meditations on my website. The simplest are deep relaxation, the wholeness meditation, the you are love meditation. Join Forever starts now on the 7th of April if you really want to prime yourself and step into presence, because that's the remedy. The more in presence you become, the more you exude a field of consciousness that is a ripple, that is the remedy for the attempts. Please remember that all that we're seeing taking place on the 8th of April are attempts, and very desperate ones, of a group of beings who can now see, if we don't take drastic and dramatic action right now, we are so buggered. We are so doomed to grow. We are so doomed to become light. We are so doomed as darkness. We will cease to exist and we will become a higher version of ourselves. And when that happens, we'll be there to celebrate the expansion of light. And it's okay that they panic right now, so you be the calm. I really trust that the message that I've delivered to you today puts you in a state of peace, puts you in a state of ease, puts you in a state of calm where you belong, where you can be this powerful, radiant light that you are. I so look forward to reading your comments and hearing your thoughts about what happens on the 8th of April. Remembering, of course, that, the events are really just peripheral stuff. Oh, one last thing I forgot to tell you. Remember, technology exists to manipulate time. So as much as that actual eclipse, where we've got the so-called moon covering the entirety of the sun, at that time, be it 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, whatever it is, you might think, well, that's not a long time at all. Hell, even if it was 5 seconds, you might think, well, it's really not a long time. Technology exists to slow down time, to insert a heap of information and many events into a few seconds. So do take seriously, however long that is, the actual full eclipse. And also remember that there are countries, like Africa is one of them, where we won't be seeing the eclipse on the 8th of April. I think it's mainly North America that sees the eclipse on the 8th. Everywhere is going to feel it. It's not just about what you see with your eyes. You're a participant. If you're alive on planet Earth right now, you're participating in the eclipse. And all that's being asked of you is shine, baby, shine. Be your light. You are the light. This is not a time to retreat and retract. This is a time to embrace who you are and exude that light. You've got this, baby. There is so much support available to you, and I look forward to connecting more with you in upcoming videos. So do make sure to subscribe to the channel, and the more you like and comment and interact with this video, the further it gets shared. So I really hope that you'll give it your time and your best shot at getting this to as many people as we possibly can. Speak to you really soon. Bye-bye for now. Lots of love.